When Band of Brothers first aired in 2001, it didn't just tell a story about World War II. It redefined what was possible for television. With a staggering budget of $125 million, or about $12.5 million per episode, it was the most expensive miniseries ever made at the time. To put that into perspective, this figure dwarfed the previous record holder, 1983's The Winds of War, and was unheard of in an era before the mega budgets of shows like Game of Thrones. This colossal investment was visible in every frame. The production wasn't just telling a story. It was rebuilding a world. This included constructing numerous period-accurate sets, sourcing 2,000 American and German military uniforms, acquiring 1,200 vintage civilian costumes, and hiring over 10,000 extras. The sheer scale of the pyrotechnics was immense, with the first 3 episodes alone using more explosives than the entirety of the film Saving Private Ryan. The commitment to authenticity extended to the machinery of war. The production built 6 tanks from scratch and rented 4 others to ensure historical accuracy. On any given day of filming a battle sequence, the cast would fire as many as 14,000 rounds of ammunition. This wasn't just filmmaking. It was a logistical feat of military precision, a price the creators were willing to pay to honor the story of Easy Company with unparalleled realism. To justify such an enormous budget, the actors couldn't just play soldiers. They had to become them. This transformation was overseen by Captain Dale Dye, a decorated Marine and Vietnam veteran who served as the senior military advisor. He subjected the cast to a grueling 10-day boot camp designed to break them down and rebuild them as a cohesive unit. The actors, living in Spartan barracks and enduring 18-hour days of intense physical training, were pushed to their absolute limits. The experience was profoundly challenging, both mentally and physically. Actor Scott Grimes, who played Doane Malarkey, recalled men crying themselves to sleep that first night, overwhelmed by the sheer exhaustion. Richard Speight Jr. remembered lying in his bunk, smelling the feet of strangers, and thinking, "I'm never going to make this." The toll was so significant that Rick Warden admitted years later that he was still processing the effects of the boot camp. Yet, this shared crucible was precisely the point. Captain Dye's goal was to give the actors a genuine memory of exhaustion, fear, and camaraderie they could draw upon when the cameras rolled. By pushing them through hell together, he forged a bond that transcended acting. When the 10 days were over, each actor who completed the camp was pinned with honorary jump wings, having earned a small but authentic understanding of what it meant to be a soldier. One of the most surprising facts about this quintessentially American story is that its cast was overwhelmingly British. Despite depicting the 101st Airborne Division, more than half of the 500 actors with speaking roles, as well as the majority of the 10,000 extras, hailed from the United Kingdom. This includes the very heart of the series, Major Dick Winters, who was masterfully portrayed by the Welsh actor Damian Lewis. The list of British talent is staggering, featuring actors who would become household names such as Tom Hardy, James McAvoy, and Simon Pegg. Even Ross McCall, who so convincingly played the street-smart Philadelphian Joseph Liebgott, is a British actor. The cast's ability to deliver flawless American accents is a testament to their skill and the production's meticulous dialect coaching, fooling audiences for over 2 decades. This British invasion was born of practicality. The series was filmed almost entirely in the UK to take advantage of studio space and production infrastructure. It was simply more feasible to hire from the vast pool of local talent for the hundreds of speaking roles and thousands of extras required. The result is a seamless illusion, a cast of brilliant British actors who convincingly brought the story of these American heroes to life. The magic of Hollywood is often about creating convincing illusions, and Band of Brothers pulled off one of the most ambitious in television history. As Easy Company fights its way across Europe from the villages of England and France to the towns of Holland, Belgium, and finally Germany and Austria, it seems as though the production embarked on a grand continental tour. The reality is far more mind-blowing. Nearly all of these distinct European locations were filmed on a single, sprawling 1,100-acre backlot at a former airfield in Hatfield, England. The production built a massive 12-acre village set that was meticulously and continuously modified to represent 11 different towns. The same collection of buildings that served as a liberated French village one week would be redressed and rebuilt to become a war-torn Belgian town the next. This incredible feat of production design, about 5 times larger than the set used for Saving Private Ryan, allowed the filmmakers to maintain complete control over their environment. Every cobblestone street, every bombed-out building, and every snowy forest was part of this enormous, versatile stage. So when you rewatch the series, remember that as the men of Easy move across a continent, the actors are, in reality, walking through the same small corner of England, transformed time and again by the magic of filmmaking. The Battle of the Bulge episodes are some of the most visceral in the series, perfectly capturing the bitter, freezing misery endured by the soldiers in the forests near Bastogne, Belgium. The audience can practically feel the numbing cold as the men huddle in their foxholes. It is therefore astonishing to learn that these iconic winter scenes were filmed almost entirely indoors, on a massive set built inside an airplane hangar. To create the illusion of the Ardennes forest, the production team brought in hundreds of real trees and constructed 250 fiberglass replicas. These man-made trees were ingeniously designed with lightweight foam tops that could be rigged to crash down realistically after being hit by artillery shells. The forest floor was then covered with an estimated 1/3 pounds of artificial snow, made from a mixture of paper and plastics to create every texture from fresh powder to slush. It took 4 weeks just to dress the entire indoor set with this artificial winter. The illusion is nearly perfect, with one subtle clue for sharp-eyed viewers. In many scenes, you cannot see the actor's breath fogging in the cold air. This minor detail betrays the reality that the cast, while brilliantly portraying men on the verge of freezing, were actually working on a controlled and presumably much warmer indoor stage. Given its prestige and the involvement of Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, Band of Brothers was a magnet for nearly every ambitious young male actor in the early 2000s. Watching the series today is like opening a time capsule of future stardom. The cast is littered with faces that were then unknown but would go on to become some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Beyond the lead roles, the supporting cast features a remarkable lineup. A young Tom Hardy appears as Private Yankovic. James McAvoy has a key role as Private Miller in Replacements. Michael Fassbender portrays Sergeant Burton, Pat Christensen. And Simon Pegg plays a supporting role as First Sergeant William Evans. Even Jimmy Fallon makes a brief but memorable appearance as a lieutenant delivering ammunition. The list goes on, including acclaimed actors like Stephen Graham, Andrew Scott, and Colin Hanks, son of the show's producer. For many of these actors, Band of Brothers was a significant launching pad, a high-profile project that showcased their talent to a global audience. The series not only told the story of a legendary company of soldiers, but also assembled a legendary company of future Hollywood stars. The show's commitment to realism extended to the tools of the trade, the weapons. The production didn't rely on cheap replicas. They acquired an arsenal of 700-period authentic World War II firearms to ensure every battle scene looked and felt genuine. This included hundreds of M1 Garand rifles, the standard issue weapon for U.S. paratroopers and the most prominent firearm featured in the series. Acquiring such a vast collection was a monumental task. Today, a single World War II-era M1 Garand can cost anywhere from $1,500 to over $5,000. The production also sourced authentic M1 carbines, M1903 Springfield rifles, and various era-appropriate pistols. On the opposing side, they procured German weapons like the Mauser K9 8K rifle, the MP40 submachine gun, and the iconic Luger pistol. To supplement this real arsenal, the armorers also created 400 highly detailed rubber prop guns. These were used for scenes where firing wasn't necessary, such as when a pistol needed to look real while holstered. This two-pronged approach ensured both safety on set and the level of visual authenticity that made the combat sequences some of the most believable ever filmed. Throughout the first episode and as a recurring battle cry, the men of Easy Company shout the word Currahee. The series explains that this comes from Currahee Mountain in Georgia, where the men trained, famously running 3 miles up, 3 miles down. The shared ordeal of conquering the mountain inspires them to adopt its name as their motto, a symbol of their resilience. However, the series never reveals the deeper meaning behind the word itself. Currahee is not just the name of a mountain. It is a word from the language of the Cherokee people, native to that region of North America. In Cherokee, it translates to stands alone. This simple, powerful phrase perfectly encapsulates the spirit and function of the paratrooper. Dropped behind enemy lines, they were expected to operate independently, to fight and survive isolated from the main army, to truly stand alone together. This deeper meaning transforms their motto from a simple reminder of a grueling training run into a profound statement of their identity. Currahee was not just a shout. It was a declaration of their unique bond and their extraordinary ability to endure as a self-reliant unit, a brotherhood that could stand alone against any odds. The production team went to great lengths to involve the actual veterans of Easy Company, but for Major Dick Winters, the commitment to realism proved to be too much. During a visit to the set in England, he was taken to meet a group of the actors, who were in full costume and sitting in the back of a World War II-era cargo truck. As the canvas flap was lifted, Winters froze. His face went pale. He said something quietly to a producer, then abruptly turned, walked away, got into a car, and left the set, never to return. He later explained the powerful emotional impact of that moment. Looking at the young actors with their period-correct uniforms and haircuts was like looking at a truck full of ghosts. They were a visceral living reminder of the boys he had served with, many of whom never made it home from the war. This poignant moment reveals the profound difference between depicting history and living it. For the filmmakers and actors, it was a meticulous recreation. For Winters, it was a painful resurrection of his past and the faces of his fallen friends. The show's success in achieving authenticity had inadvertently brought the ghosts of his past back to life in a way that was too overwhelming to bear. Despite his heavy involvement in the book and his close friendship with author Stephen Ambrose, Dick Winters' initial reaction to the HBO miniseries was one of disappointment. He was a man who valued precision and authenticity above all else, and he found the show's necessary dramatic inventions and historical compressions lacking. After attending the premiere, he candidly expressed his feelings to producer Tom Hanks. "I wish that it would have been more authentic," Winters told Hanks. "I was hoping for an 80% solution." Hanks, ever the Hollywood pragmatist, gave him a gentle reality check. "Look, Major," he replied, "this is Hollywood. At the end of the day, we would be hailed as geniuses if we get this 12% right. We are going to shoot for 17%, and if we succeed, you need to be satisfied." Winters, a reasonable man, accepted Hanks's argument. He later praised the series for its realistic battle scenes and, most importantly, for honoring the collective heroism of Easy Company through the veteran interviews. While it may not have been the 80% solution he had hoped for, Band of Brothers achieved something arguably more important. It cemented the legacy of these men, ensuring that their story of courage, sacrifice, and brotherhood would never be forgotten.